Hello, 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 everyone. How are you? Hope you're having an incredible, incredible day, and may peace be upon you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining the show. It takes courage with me, your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. And today I have a very, very special guest who just told me that, she's not doing any other interview except for this one, just because she felt this connection between us. And what an honor and a blessing to have her in the show. Her name is Rasha Goel, and she is a two-time Emmy nominated TV producer and host, and she's also a journalist and a Reiki healer. So, Rasha, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, it is so beautiful to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you so much, Rasha, for being here. Like I said earlier today, we both like got the memo. For
Yes,
some reason,
the pink memo.
we were matchy matchy pink, which doesn't happen often. But when it happens, because Rasha, one of the things you mentioned earlier, you felt this connection between us, and vice versa as well. That's why I reach out to you, Rasha. It's end of the year. The last thing either of us want to do is do more work. But there's something, this connection that pulled me to her. And I didn't know like she was having, kind of similar experience with me. So, thank you so much. And I heard that we are also neighbors, like you're in the LA area.
Yes. And you are too, right?
Yeah, I'm in Orange County. So, in our world, it's not that far,
No,
considering that
it's
there
not.
are
I grew
other.
I grew up near there, so I'm very familiar with Orange County.
Nice, nice. That is fantastic. So, Rasha, I want to talk about the confidence game, right? Because you're seen a lot on the red carpet, on TV. So I want to talk about this confidence game, and also like on your social media, you also talk a lot about self-care, taking care of yourself, being compassionate with yourself, and listening to your body. So before we start with that, can you just share a little bit about yourself and what made you to this where you are now in your career now? I know once upon a time you wanted to be a doctor, but that all gone to flame because of the blood. You don't want to be fainting on your patient when you see the blood. So, what was the turning point in your career, Rasha?
So of course, being a child of immigrant parents, right? There is this expectation, I think this unspoken expectation, or sometimes even spoken, where you just want to make your parents proud. So I
Mm.
actually was supposed to go into medical field, in fact, a pharmacy. My dad always wanted me to become a pharmacist or doctor, and I had even registered for the courses. And here's the funny thing, my turning point and moment really happened while I was in college. I
Mm.
just knew, and it was, I vividly have to tell you, I remember this moment. I was sitting in my class, it was a zoology class. We're sitting there, and the professor is going on with the lecture. I just shut the book. I get up and I leave class, and I go to my counselor, and I tell her, I'm like, you have to change me. I need to get into communication
Mm.
studies, mass media, theater, or something. I can't do this. And it's so interesting because I'd also interned at a pharmacy too, just to see how it would be. I was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to go to either USC or I think, was it Pacific University? I forgot now. They had a special
Right.
pharmacy program that was, I think it cut like 3 years or something. And I just knew there was something inside me that said, this is not what I'm cut out to do. Yes, I'm smart enough. The grades were there. I wanted to make my parents proud, but inside, my soul just was not allowing it. And I felt sad about it. So I said, no, I've got to follow what my true calling is. And I tell you, it took me less than a minute to figure that out. But that moment was so powerful for me because I stood up for what I believed in and who I was. And that's sometimes hard, especially when I mentioned, like, I'm Indian, I'm South Asian. I've always
Mm-hmm.
wanted to make my family proud. A lot of South Asians at the time I was growing up were going into medicine, into law, engineering. And here's this industry that I'm choosing that no one in my family has ever tackled. So, yeah. And I have to mention to you and your viewers, as we're getting into the confidence game today, I have not always been very confident. I grew up a very insecure child. very nervous, having anxiety about my looks and my performance and presentation. So I'm so really excited to have this conversation with you today to help offer to people some even golden nuggets that can help them, because this is something that is a lifetime process. It's a journey for all of us.
Absolutely. And my husband is half Indian, so his
Oh,
dad is actually Indian from the south. I forgot which region. I don't want to say which one, just in case I make. Uh, and my daughter Nadra was born in Bangalore because my husband was, on secondment there for work, and I
oh
was doing research with IBM there. And I grew up in Malaysia in a multicultural community. I know all about pleasing the parents, and my culture is such that when the parents say something, then you just do that, right? There's no other kind of like options to go which way, and which is totally opposite of my kids. And my kids, mommy, we have choices. And
Well, it's changed, right? Because our parents came here as immigrants to the US, and they were trying to make a good life for themselves and for their children, and they necessarily didn't have that help. So, in a way, when I looked at them, I thought, I just want to make them proud. I just want to make them happy, because they sacrificed for me. So, I want to be able to give back to them.
absolutely 100%. And that I still can't. I'm just like so proud of you in that moment. You're literally in the lecture hall, right? You literally were sitting in the lecture hall, and God knows what that lecturer professor was saying, and then suddenly you're like this yearning, this burning desire, just it couldn't be contained anymore, and you're like, you know what? I just got to listen to this. I just
And
got to
that took
listen. There's no
courage.
other way to it.
Yeah, and that took courage, I think, to trust
Mm.
my heart and what my calling and was for me, to be honest with you.
Yes, 100%. And a lot of people, including myself, when I had that, I didn't have the courage to listen to it because sometimes it's so scary. It tells you to do the opposite things, right? Like in your case, it tells you to go stand up, not to mention how rude that's going to look as a South Indian, as an Indian person, minority getting up, that get up and then walk to the office to change course. And but it was something that the courage is, that when you took that step and trusting what's in here, what needed to be done, what's in alignment with you, however you want to call it, led to the place that you meant to be. It's kind of like a redirection, I would say. Would you like how did so then when you get up, you went to the office, you're like, just put me in theater or media. So what made you say those theater or media? Or was it something that you felt, or was it just something that you thought about for some time?
I think it was something I felt. Here's
Hmm.
the thing. I think from when I was born, I already knew I wanted to be in this industry. And I say that because even if I look back, one of my major elementary school projects that actually took me all the way to state competition was, I still remember too, I did this project in history on Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I did a newscast. I
Hmm.
literally had my mother create a news desk for me to sit at. Right. And I tell you, I don't know how we did this. She's a techie. She did something where she created that little box on the corner here. And I'm
Right.
watching this newscast. And this is like what, when I'm 8, 9 years old. And even at that time, I was performing, I was in dance, I was in theater, I was taking acting classes. So I think there was always something in me that was kind of on this performance side, a communicator,
Mm.
a, a stage person. So I think that was always within me. But as I got older, that calling and trusting my intuition really strongly developed. And that's when I knew that that's who I am, that's what my soul was designed for, to be here.
That is beautiful. And kind of like, who knew at the 8-year-old you kind of already knew what you wanted, like 12 years later after that, and coming with your mom who's techie and then having to create that. And then I'm like, hats off to her, right? Kind of like having that vision and supporting you. I mean, your mom was already supporting you since you were 8 years old, but sometimes us as adults, we think that, our parents are not gonna support us, but as a parent, like you always want to support your kids no matter what. A lot of the time I have to take myself out of the equation and like, what is it that is best for my kids? What is it that they want? What is it going to make them feel excited for it?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that kind of like journey. That's what your soul is yearning. Is it the connection, Rasha? Is it the story that makes you excited, or is it just having conversation and getting to know people as people versus putting them on pedestal?
Right. It's that's a really interesting question. And I think it's a combination of everything you mentioned.
Hmm.
Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, we are all human beings, regardless of the kind of jobs we're doing, the industries that we work in, and we are all made of energy. And I feel that we have an energetic connection to one another. That's how we thrive. That's how we grow. That's how we experience things in life. So, for example, when we look at, people always ask me, "Oh, you're so lucky. You get to interview these A-list celebrities, this and that." And I think it's fun. I'm so grateful. I am so
Yeah.
blessed. I really enjoy the work I do. But at the end of the day, when I walk into what we call a press junket or into an interview, I don't look at the person as an A-list celebrity. I look at them as a
Mm.
human being. And my first intention is, how am I going to connect with this person? What brings us together? Why are we here today? And so I really think about, number one, the energy that I'm bringing into the interview. Who am I showing up as? Number two, how am I contributing to this person's life? Yeah, I'm coming in there to learn about them, their project, but what can I do to maybe even enhance their life? And three, how do I make it a comfortable situation? So this is just a human to human conversation. I have a few minutes. I need to get the best interview from them, but it's really all about the connecting to me. And that's why I love the storytelling part of it. That's so important to me, because even when I walk into an interview, Dr. Jamil, my intention is really to have fun. And I
Mhm.
want the person who I'm interviewing to have fun. And what's something that we can share together that maybe somebody who's watching the interview can leave with feeling better, or something they've learned, or maybe something they've taken away from the interview about me or the person I'm interviewing, or something that can help them. That's what I'm all about. So it's really about connection, having fun, and the energy that you're really bringing to the table.
You know, what you say is just, it's so intriguing because, when I wanted to speak on the TEDx stage, I was so scared of public speaking, just coming out of COVID on the stage, and on this hundred of eyeballs going to be looking at you. I'm like, oh, I just had a baby, but what I was trained was that what, you cannot make a difference when you're here. The only way you can make a difference is when you're there. So you're saying exactly the same thing. You're not thinking, oh, does my bum look good today? Does my hair look fabulous today? But you're thinking, this is what is my intention for this person. What can I contribute to enhance this person's life, this person's project? So you kind of like putting yourself to them. How can you make them better, or have make an impact or add value to this person's life? And I think that is what makes you really special. As when you walk on the red carpet, that makes you really special, and you want to have fun. God knows the amount of time I watched James Corden interview, when he had the carpool karaoke. I could not stop laughing, with Lady Gaga, with all the music. It's so funny, right? And like, that his purpose. He wants to make people laugh.
Yeah.
So with you, like, you touch something really important there. How can you add value to that person's
How can I be of
life?
service? How can I be of service? And I
Mm.
I think creating trust is really important for me.
Mhm.
Anybody I interview, I want them to know I'm not there to exploit them. And I think I have that gift where I'm able to walk in
Mhm.
because I'm connected from the heart space, and I'm coming from the heart space. And I use this terminology where people may be thrown off, but perhaps I'm also a Reiki healer. And so connecting, like you were saying, connecting from here versus here is a
Mhm.
complete game changer, and showing up
Mhm.
in a way to say, how can I be of service today?
Absolutely. How can you be of service, and also like creating that safe space, right? Because trust cannot happen when you feel threatened, and you cannot have a good conversation when you feel scared. So creating that safe space between you and the other person, whoever they may be A-listers, may not be, but having that space of trust, that space of safety. Like, my kids, when they know it's safe, they just go out and play, right?
Right.
They don't care about everything else. But I would always be on edge because I would be creating that safety space for them, make sure there's no rocks and everything, like, all that. But that safety, that connection that you talked about coming from here versus coming from here, what are some of your rituals to help you prepare for it? Because it's not easy. A lot of the times we're here.
Yes,
If everything looks good, is the lighting this? Do you have the camera ready? Or
absolutely.
what time they're gonna come? So how do we kind of ground ourselves to be connected to here? Because essentially this is where human beings speaks.
Right. And don't get me wrong, that prep comes with it too. All of the
Mhm.
makeup and the lighting, that's
Yes.
part of it. But here's the thing. If I'm stuck in my mind with that throughout the interview or when I'm talking to someone, that connection won't happen. So some of my rituals really that are very important to me is quiet time. And that includes meditation. I meditate
Mm.
at least twice a day. Definitely first thing in the morning. I do not check my phone. Meditation happens to me. I wake up around 5:30 every day. I think that's just such a peaceful time to get up, very in tune to that. I also make sure that I am finding activities that I enjoy doing, whether that's reading,
Mhm.
whether that's going, I started playing tennis recently. So I started put myself in tennis classes and I met some amazing people, but just the activity. I really enjoy doing that, or taking a poetry class because I write poetry, things like that. So finding something that I enjoy doing that is not necessarily work connected, but breathing. So especially when I'm walking into an interview, I always breathe. I make sure I take a few minutes to ground myself, and grounding includes just connecting to my body, just breathing and being present with where I am, and then I go in. And that is it's such a game changer. And I do want to add, part of my self-care too is limiting my time on the phone. I know that may sound cliche, but honestly, I have hours in the morning and in the evening I will not be on my phone. So even if people text me, I just don't respond. I mean, unless it's an urgent thing, I really do my best to have limited hours or have those set boundaries of when I'm going to be on social media and even when I'm going to be on the phone, whether it's with calls or texts.
Oh God, that phone thing, I recently have got anxiety just because before the first thing I wake up, prayers and everything, just like you, I would check my phone, right? But it just causing me anxiety because, and then it's not even breakfast time at Russia, right? The
No,
sun hasn't risen yet. And I'm like,
it's
oh my,
addictive.
yeah, they want you to do this, they want me to do this and that and that and that. So now I'm like, I check my emails at 3 o'clock every
Yeah.
day. And then you wait till the next 3 o'clock every day to receive a response from me when you send it. So it's like focus in and out. And most of the time I realize that the people that I work with are highly intelligent and capable of solving their own problems.
Yeah.
Right? So you just need to give them, you just need to give them the time to to take care of it themselves, right? To figure things out themselves. I mean, since when did I become someone's PA or someone's bitch, right? I'm not. Like, you can take care of yourself. You're highly intelligent.
Handle
You're
it.
smart. Exactly. You're like capable of doing things. So that just kind of like ease things. Because the morning, just like you said, it's very precious. There's like it's like this quiet time. If you really calm yourself and quiet, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, it's a really quiet time to be connected to the creator. Such a beautiful, beautiful
And you have
space.
to start your morning off right. Now, remember, you're setting the precedent for your day. So if you're starting off in hustle, frazzled energy, that's what your day is going to be like. But if you're setting yourself up for a win and you're starting off with calmness and clarity and connection, that's what's going to set the precedent for your day. So you have the opportunity to do that. You get to make that choice.
100%. And it starts with you. Like when I'm learning courage and confidence, starts with you, how you set your tone, how what are your boundaries, what you say no to. Like for example, one of your boundaries is that certain hours of the day you don't check your phone. So the people just gonna wait for the next day whenever you're gonna be checking your phone and everything because otherwise it'd be like ding ding and then my phone is on silent now. So it's like
I'm not
I'm like
saving lives here, so you know.
I, I know it's like calm and everything, and obviously answer the phone if it's my husband or the kids' school. Obviously, those are the two that I would answer immediately. If my clients call me on the spot, I do not answer because, like, our time is very precious, right? There is like and I think like what you're saying is that you would go and play tennis, you would write poetry, you bring that the things that lights your life up, like joyful, that creates joy in your life. You integrate it in your life versus waiting. Oh, maybe soon I'll do that. Maybe one day. So I want to talk about that notion of, yeah, I'll do it soon, I'll do it one day versus just like you know what, I like this, I'm gonna incorporate it in my life right now. Or and do you see the benefits of you having that playtime and also work time
Yeah.
coming together?
And I'll tell you the importance of that. I'm so glad you brought that up because I can tell you and all the viewers here from my own experience, I haven't always been like this. I used to live a very hustled lifestyle, a constant go, go, go lifestyle where, oh my gosh, I might miss out on an opportunity or I have to work. If I'm not working, I'm not being productive. I think because that's how we've been trained. That's how our mind has been trained. And in fact, the more you do that, the more you're killing yourself for nothing. So when I realized that I had to slow down, I tell you, that is where the magic happened. And I encourage everybody to do that. I mean, even if it's once a week, I would say even once a day. I mean, you can't take 10 minutes out of your day to read a book or take a walk outside or go do something. You're doing that for you. And in fact, when you do that for you, you are creating energy and space and more magic within you and for opportunities. When you're living in that hustle energy, it just brings you down more and more. So I can tell you from personal experience, I have seen what a difference it makes. And you mentioned, oh, why not later? We are not guaranteed tomorrow. We are only guaranteed today, this moment that we are here. So why are we putting off things that we enjoy for tomorrow when you don't even know how your health is going to be? You don't know where you're going to be. You don't know what the situation's going to be. And I think once I understood that more and I changed that, it really impacted me. And so I do make a constant effort. And guys, it could be as small as going to a coffee shop and picking up your favorite coffee. That's self-care. It doesn't have to be, I need to schedule a $500 massage or something. It's small things. It's going to the park. If you have children, maybe taking your children out to ride their bikes, something like that. I don't think it has to be extravagant, but it's taking the time for you to be with you and doing something that makes you smile or lights you up.
Oh, that's beautiful. And then when you mentioned just riding bike, oh my God, just yesterday my husband was like, let's go ride our bikes, right? And then
I'm picking
because
up your
my
energy.
I know, right? And then because my baby Rayhan, he's 18 months, he wants to go on the bike ride. And then I was like, oh, I've got to work, I haven't cooked yet. And then suddenly I'm like, hang on a minute, let's just go. So, off we go, so my husband and then my baby right at the front. So he cycles with him at the front with his little mushroom helmet. And then there was me cycling them. And then so we just did, just a round, just like a 5 minute round. It didn't cost us anything. It was just 5 minutes of our time. But it just felt so good to just like cycle, for the 5 minutes. Now my husband cycles to work 10 miles every day one way and coming back 20 miles. So obviously I cannot compete with that, right? I'm just like, babe, I'm just gonna go one round, okay? And like cycle. But then when I came back, I still managed to cook burritos, like with all the enchiladas. Like it still is possible to have that time for yourself, spend time with, my husband and, baby Rehan, and still cook and have dinner. So I think like we're stuck in a scarcity mindset, right? It's
We
not
are.
enough time. I don't think I could do this. I'm too busy. But we're stuck in that time loop. Whereas if we're like, you know what? I have time. God, just give me the time, the blessing of time. And then so it is done. So I want to talk about this scarcity mindset that we have. I mean, like you said, we just like a 5 minute walk to the coffee shop or a couple of minutes in your garden, whatever that you want to do.
For you.
Like in your experience, because you used to work in a high paced industry, right? Where everything is like go, 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 go. If you
Mhm.
don't secure this interview, you're going to be missing out because it's such a high pace and competitive. So how do we kind of like break through the loop from that and stop ourselves from burning out or from going to depression, or the last thing we want to do, Russia, is becoming the slave to the monster that we created.
Yes, yes, and becoming a slave to what we are constantly shown in society. It's that mindset. So, one of the things that I had to learn to do was to trust. I had to learn to trust that was what was meant for me will always come my way no matter what, and to trust myself. I think what happens is especially when you work in an industry like entertainment, it's very competitive, it's very cutthroat, and you live sometimes in this fear of missing out, the FOMO, right? Like, oh, well, they got to be there. And listen, I'm going to be completely vulnerable and authentic with you here. There have been moments and days when I would be on social media and I would look at somebody and say, well, how come they got that carpet? How come I wasn't invited? Or how come I don't get this? And it's so funny because now I'm in a position where things come my way and I'm turning them down because I'm already booked somewhere or I'm just not available that day because of other commitments. And to think that, wow, at one time I was, and it was because I had to change that mind shift to trust and know that opportunities will always be there. I just have to trust that the right ones will be brought to me, and also not to compare. I think the hardest thing, especially right now, because we live in a time and age where social media is such a part of our lives for everything. It's so hard not to get on there and compare. And everybody puts out their best foot, right? And so you think, well, their life just looks so glamorous and they're doing so amazing without knowing the core of what they're really going through. And I do try to share that too on my social media, that the glam that you're seeing, it's not always like that. I've had my days where I've been on the floor crying and wondering where's the next job, or what's going to happen, or where's that opportunity. But I think when I came back and I connected to myself, and that goes back again to just the grounding. I was called into, I was led and guided to becoming a Reiki healer, and really neutralizing that energy in my body and just trusting. So my two big takeaways from this would be: trust yourself and your life, and don't compare yourself to others. And that will help you get out of that scarcity and that lack mindset. And you'll see things will start coming your way.
Wow, that is such a powerful reminder because, kind of like comparing yourself, just like you said, why does he or she have this and I don't, and this and that? Oh, I've put in 1,000 hours for this and nothing is paying off, kind of having that. But the surrender that you talked about earlier, the surrender to everything, the trusting in yourself, the trusting in the opportunities, it's just like abundance. If we believe in the world of abundance, that is what is meant for us is going to be there. It's never going to miss us. But what misses us was never meant for us. So, and then you talk about that, having that freedom, right, Rasha, of like, you know what, the right opportunity is going to come. All I have
I'm
to do
okay.
is just do my best work.
Yeah. Yes. Do your best work. And I'm okay. I'm okay with what is. I'm okay with
Hmm.
what's happening in this present moment. I'm at peace. I think you and I were talking too about just being at a place when you're so peaceful and acceptance and surrendering. I think this is all part of that. And you really do start seeing how things change for you once you're able to really understand what these notions mean, and not just not just hear the words that we're saying or we're throwing out to you today, but really making them a part of your life.
That is beautiful. And one of the things that you touched before, that you were not always this person, right? You were scared, you were
Oh,
insecure, like, to be in front of TV, like, scares me. Like, having this conversation scares me. Before, I could not press the button, Russia. I could not press it. I would pray, God, 1,000 times, but I could not press that button because, when you put yourself out there, it's scary.
great.
But it's like having this vulnerability that you show, that you when you show up, this courage when you show up, and also, like, what I find attractive about people is their vulnerability, their courage, the authenticity, the freedom that they express yourself. So that's what I find attractive in people. Like, sometimes when they're messed up, I'm like, was it Adele that messed up at the Grammys or something, right? Like, this is Adele,
Right,
the Adele,
right, right.
messed up at the Grammys, and then she said some swear words as with Adele, but then she's just like, I'm
Just go
gonna pick
on.
myself back up again
Yeah.
and just went for it.
It's
Adele has never not been. So many people just respected her 1,000 times more because of that.
Well, I think it's the human factor, right? At the end of
Mhm.
the day, we're all human beings. And so it doesn't matter whether you're an entertainer, you're an on-screen person or off-screen. I think it's really remembering at the end of the day, we're human beings. And so when we idolize these stars and expect these things from them, we're really putting them on a completely different platform that even they can't uphold sometimes. Because at the end of the day, we are all dealing with life. And yeah, I was sharing that with you earlier that I wasn't always in the space I am today. Growing up, I was very insecure. I was this scrawny little nerdy kid. I mean, I did very well in school. So to this day, I'm very proud of my grades. I was one of those like just studious kids, but I never felt pretty enough. And it's funny that I chose this industry of all things because I did beauty pageants when I was in high school and in college. I did dance competitions. And I cannot tell you the moments that I would even go to practices and rehearsals, never feeling enough. I thought the other people were always prettier than me. And you can imagine what goes on in your mind when you're living in Hollywood then and going to auditions and having to show up and you see all these other women. And especially as a minority woman growing up, you think, oh, well, the woman with the blonde hair and blue eyes, she's the pretty one. And she's the one who's always going to get the booking and this and that. So there were a lot of insecurities that I did grow up around. And I just think along the way, once I started learning again to connect to my heart space and trust who I am, that just kind of faded. And I was able to find that inner strength and confidence in myself, but I had to find that love within me. And I think that's really important. That may sound cliche. We always hear, oh, self love. But I really think it's finding and loving yourself unconditionally. That's where it starts.
Loving yourself unconditionally and accepting who you are, the way you are, and the way you are not, right? Because we can never be. I mean, like, you can be blonde. I mean, you can, but it would be like, but accepting that, because you and I, we're minority people, so it takes, we always have that kind of, we have to prove ourselves.
Yes.
And so we have to prove ourselves, we have to work harder, we have to be smarter, we have to be, do things 2, 3, 5 times, 10 times harder. But then I'm thinking, with my daughter Nadra, she's 8, is that the legacy I want to live her with? That she has to work 10 times harder than everyone else, where she's perfect the way she is,
Yeah.
like she. So, and then I started to have this kind of conversation, to encourage her to be proud and courageous of who she is, of her roots. Like, we gotta be proud of who we are. If it's not for us, chicken biryani wouldn't be in the map,
Right.
in America. Like,
Henna, Bollywood music. No, and I think that's an
exactly.
important factor you bring up. And I think that stems from childhood too, being proud of your heritage, of your culture and who you are. And like you said, like loving yourself and acceptance of you. There's not going to be another me, and there isn't another me. And I can't be you, and I can't maybe necessarily offer what you do, but you have your own strengths that you bring to the table. I have my own strengths that I bring to a table. And again, I think that really comes back to energy. It's when I walk into a room, it's the energy that I bring in. It's my intention of what do I want to create in this space that I'm walking into? How can I make this place a better place for the people that are here today?
100%. And I think it starts with being unapologetic about yourself, accepting yourself starts with a lot of resolution of who you are, whether it's from the past, whether coming back to who you are, the alignment of who you are. I think it starts, and then you said it before, it's not just something that, ta-da, here I am.
No, this takes work. It doesn't happen overnight. I wish it did.
Exactly. Never is over till you're 6 feet under the ground, but it is a journey. And you resolve one thing, and it gives you the confidence. You can be unapologetic about it. And while we're wrapping up, Rasha, I want to kind of like touch base. This you interview a lot of A-listers. So I wanted to kind of like give us some tips to be confident, whether it's in front of camera or I know like the last thing that we all do as fans, we will put these celebrities on a pedestal and they can't put themselves even on the pedestal. It kind of creates a gap, like they're better or they're bigger than us. That affects the confidence. So how can we make it your tips to make it like, you know what, you're the best at what you do, you got to own it. And when you talk to these people, whether it's the CEO, whether it's an influencer, whoever this person is, how can we be ourselves, the best version of self, and how can we add value to these people?
I think you just answered it for me. It's really showing up as you. It's owning who you are, trusting yourself, and knowing who you are. Remember, these are just titles. At the end of the day, everybody you're meeting is another human being. I said that before too, and I'm going to continue to say that because the titles are just something we create and we have. At the end of the day, you need to walk in creating a connection. You have to remember that you're adding value to something. You're meeting these people because you have something to offer too. It's not just them. So if you can meet them eye to eye, knowing your worth, knowing your talent, knowing your connection, and that you are bringing something to the table, that will help you. I also believe always in preparation meets opportunity, right? So part of being confident is also being prepared. You always need to know who you're talking to, do your research, know a little bit about them. I always like to find a separate fun fact that maybe somebody else may not know. Or again, another point I can connect in. There's been opportunities where I was born in Hawaii. So I've met other actors that may have been born there or grew up there, or maybe somebody recently visited the Taj Mahal. Of course, I'm very familiar with India, so finding tidbits about that person or their history, I think is always very helpful. But that's physical stuff you can do. When it comes to just you need to really trust yourself, because if you don't trust yourself, the person that you're talking to will see right through you. That insecurity will show up. And you need to trust that the reason you're even meeting this person or having a conversation or you're even in this arena with this person is because of who you are. The universe brought this together for you to happen. So now you have to trust your value and your worth.
That is such, a powerful reminder that you have something special to bring. Like you have something special on the table, and you just gotta own it and
don't give your power away to someone else. The minute you put the A-lister up or the CEO, you've now given your power to them.
So you gotta, bring the power back to you, to rein in the power, like, working with, for example, CEO or leaders. They don't want some people pleaser. They want someone who's not gonna pussyfoot around things, because they need those kind of people, right? Even with celebrities, we go, oh God, oh my God, I come. They'll be like, this person is a mess.
And knowing, right, that the reason you're even in that room is because you have something, you have value to bring. So own that value. Know your talent, know your strengths, know that you are there for a reason. I think when you walk in with that, and always, if you can walk into a opportunity or into a place with the mindset of, well, how can I be of service to this person today? That really changes the game, because now you are not walking in needing something from that person. You are not walking in wanting something. You are not coming from a space of lack or scarcity. You're coming from a place of empowerment, that I'm here to help you better something.
Exactly. And you setting and holding to your own standards, right? You're not lowering yourself to the standard. Like, the best people, the expert, the best of the best, they have their standards. And people would just like, if you're not up there, you're gone, because they don't have the time to kind of like wait for you. If like, for example, Olympians, so like they have a certain standard and schedule. So if you're not available to accommodate that, and then you're gone. And it's just something. You touch so many important things, and what a wonderful conversation. But let's wrap it up with having, what would you say is the essence of Russia? If you, what was something that you want to say that's gonna have an impact for now and 1,000 years to come, Russia?
If I could leave people with one thing, I would say love and trust yourself. And I know I use that word so much, but it took me a long time to get to that place where I fully loved and accepted myself for who I am and what I brought to the table. Because, see, at the end of the day, people are going to come and leave your life. Opportunities are going to come in life. But the one person that's going to be with you is you. So if you can learn to love and accept and trust who you are, that will always lead you to creating magical moments. That will always take you to where you need to be. And I think once you can fully, really understand that, I promise you, it will create more miracles in your life than ever.
Beautiful. Love, accept, and trust yourself. Just like Russia in that classroom. This is not right. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stand up and I'm gonna leave. Like the courage to have faith and trusting. I mean, God knows, otherwise she'll be wearing the white coat at CVS pharmacy,
Oh
like
gosh,
serving
yes. Counting pills.
the prescription. I mean, it's a
But now
it's a
I get to
highly
do that on
respectable
camera sometimes.
profession. Yeah. Exactly. It's highly respected profession, but it was in Russia. Like she had to, the listening and the trusting and then the taking action. Because if you just sit there and not do anything, it's not going to make any difference. But the taking action is what led her to this wonderful journey, this meeting of incredible people, the courage to be herself, the courage to express herself, and meeting people with like, how can I be of service to this person? How can I make this person's life better? How can I add value? And I think that's also like a really powerful tip for those who wants to have media attention. Like not like,
Yes,
you know, think about I mean, you're also a media coach, right, Rasha?
I am. I
So
am. And, here's the thing too. I tell people it's all about connecting. When you
mm,
can have a conversation where you can connect with someone, that's where people will remember you. That's where the powerful conversations happen. It's not, and listen, you're never, out of 10 people, there may be a person who doesn't like you. That's fine. You're not going to be loved by everybody. That's just the way this world works. So focus on having that love within yourself. Don't worry about people outside of you. Don't worry about what everybody else is thinking. You have to find a way of being you. And everybody who's here has a special talent or gift that they have been given that they can share with the world. You just need to find out what that is for yourself.
yes, and bring the power back to you, right? Your power, don't give your power away to anybody. Bring
Yeah.
the power back to you. Hold yourself to your standards, that you are powerful, that you are amazing, that you are beautiful, gorgeous, that you have something so precious to offer to other people, and they cannot resist you. You become so attractive because, like, when you know what you do, when you know who you are, you know what you do, you know how to take care of people, you're sold. Like
Yes.
everybody wants to be. with you.
That energy, you're magnetizing people towards you because you are exuding that energy. You don't care or need that proof from anybody else. You already know how magical you are inside.
Beautiful. One last question, Rasha. What is one fun thing that you do that people don't know about? And you can't say tennis because you just said tennis,
Now
and
I
you can't
just
say
shared that
poetry
with
either.
you. Um, something fun that I really enjoy doing, and I do this for my friends. I make candles. So I make soy wax Reiki infused candles, and I gift them to my friends and colleagues and people like that. But it just brings me so much joy when I'm making them. I'll spend hours, and it's fun. I'll play with colors and dyes and the smells and all this different stuff. So yeah, that's one thing a lot of people don't know about me.
Oh, that is so cool, so wonderful. There's something about candles when you give them to someone, it just makes it so special. And I'm not talking about those candles at Target, but I'm talking about this artisan candle that you like when you made and it's high quality, it's been given with love, right? And when it burns, you just feel it like spreading the light and the
I was
love.
just going to say that to you. And the intention is to provide light in their life.
There we go. That's wonderful. And thank you so much, Rasha, for being here today, for having a conversation. I wish you all the best in your upcoming projects and for 2023. And hopefully, everything, my love and prayer to you and your family. So thank you so much for being here today.
And thank you. This has been so much fun. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope our viewers had a great time listening to our conversation. And I would love to hear from them, and have them share what's something that they took away from this conversation.
That would be wonderful. And Rasha, what is the best way for people to connect with you? Is it via your Instagram? Is it via your email? What's the best way that people can just say hi and share what they got out of this conversation with you?
Yeah, thank you. I would say social media, Instagram, Twitter. It's at Rasha Goel, Rashagoel. And I do check messages. I do respond. So feel free to share. I'd love to hear what you took away from our conversation today.
Wonderful. So it's Instagram at Rasha Goel, Rashagoel. Thank you so much, Rasha, for being here
Thank
today.
you.
And everybody, until the next episode, this is your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. Tell yourself, yes, I can. And so it is done. Rasha, let's say goodbye to everybody. Bye.
Bye.